she called 911. She was asking for she felt like there was someone like um sneaking around her house or just looking. She just felt like someone was around. So two cops showed up. They began to look around. They looked through her backyard. This like there's no one here. So when the cops came up to her, knocked on they met her, talked to her from outside, and they explained that they looked around, they didn't see anything, and she was kind of like distraught, like feeling like someone was out there. Um, Eventually, through this whole process, the cops came into her house. And this is just a small retelling of the story. This, if you want to watch the full video, you can. But this is a small retelling of the story. They go into her house. They begin to look around. They talk to her, and then at a moment is where I'm going to start reading kind of what happened from there, where the Massey and the one of the cops began to talk to each other. And so Massey is at her turning off the flame on her stove because she had like a pot on when they came. She took a little bit to get to the door when they first came because she was trying to get dressed and stuff. So she was not expecting them at that very moment, even though she called them, but she was in the process of doing stuff in their house. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was going to say, and just to preface, if you watch body cam footage, he tells her to turn the stove off and go over and move the pot off the stove. It was a directive given by the officer.
Hmm. Yeah, and so these are some of the words that were said. Massey is heard saying, "Where are you going?" Grayson, who's the police officer, away from your hot steaming water. Away from hot steaming water, Massey replied. And she says, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." Grayson says, "What?" After she says that. Then she says, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." And then Grayson says, "You better F not. I swear to God, I'll F shoot you right in your F face." Grayson then responded to her saying, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." He then raises his gun and yells at Massey to drop the effing pot. Massey apologizes at this point and then ducks for cover, at which Grayson would shoot her in the head. And then after that, the shots were done. The other police officer kind of was trying to help, like, save her, even though it was pretty much over at that point. He was doing everything he could to help her, while the cop named Grayson, who did the shooting, didn't do anything. He was pretty much like, "I shot her in the head. She's dead. It's over." And so that was kind of what happened if you watch the videos, you've watched the body cam. And so one reason this caught my mind is because the reaction of the police officer after she said a rebuke in the name of Jesus. Because it wasn't like everything was going smoothly during this whole call, it seemed. Nothing was too out of the ordinary. It was kind of weird for them to be in her house. Honestly, they pretty much needed to do everything they needed to do outside the house. There, she
Hmm.
was looking. That she called 911 for. She felt someone was looking around her house looking for her. So I don't know why they went into outside the house. It just seems like everything escalated quickly and all escalated at the point where she said, rebuking the name of Jesus. And then the cop kind of freaked out at that point.
Yeah.
And also to preface this, so I am a black man, so I've never had any like weird interactions with police officers. I know some some black people have various feelings about police officers. I've never had a bad experience with police officers. I'm friends with some police officers. I don't have like every police officer's out to get me, but I also know the feeling of feeling that you're in a situation that either someone could be racist towards you, someone could be doing various things towards you where you're like, I'm not sure what you're about to do. And so I'm very, very cautious. So when I'm coming at this from my perspective, I'm not trying to bring any slight towards the police officers. I feel like this one cop messed up terribly and he was not doing his job to serve and protect. But it doesn't mean like believe every cop is out to get black people, etc. So that's my personal preface to this. But in this specific case, it seems like this cop got triggered by her saying, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus,"
Yeah. I
which
agree.
I feel like either so as a Christian who believes in spiritual things, my immediate thought when I heard this was like, what was she feeling in the spirit? Why was she rebuking? Because it wasn't like she just started rebuking at that point. She was like in that specific realm of rebuking the images. Something was happening in her mind. And a lot of times when people see these type of situations, they immediately think, oh, she was not in her right mind. She was a little crazy. But I don't know. It seems like she was, since the beginning of this whole situation, she was on high alert for something. And
Yeah.
obviously, it could be that she was on some drugs. It could come out. All this stuff could come out. But from my initial perspective, I feel like it's possible that she was seeing something in the spirit where she felt like she needed to rebuke something in the name of Jesus. And think it's interesting that she freaked out when he started rebuking, as if she was pointing a gun at him by rebuking him. Because it went from like 0 to 100 when she said, "I rebuke in the name of Jesus," and he just started
Hmm.
swearing at her, saying, you better not rebuke me." Let me go back to. He says, "Yeah, you better beep not. I swear to God, I will beep shoot you right in your face." And all she said was, "I rebuke in the name of Jesus."
Hmm.
She didn't say, "I'm going to throw this water at you." She didn't say, "I'm going to attack you." She didn't say anything. She said, "I rebuke in the name of Jesus." And then his response was, "I'm going to shoot you in the face." So I feel like there's something spiritual going on. I don't know what. I wasn't there, but it just seems like super 0 to 100 so quickly that it
Hmm.
doesn't seem normal. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree. So, I definitely I'm with you. I think that regardless of the color of your skin, that sometimes officers like it, it's sad anytime somebody dies, but officers should be able to defend themselves, et cetera, et cetera. Um, Not every cop shooting is wrongful death. But and to preface, I have family in law enforcement. Um, but this is not that. It is very, very obvious to me that that officer was not um, in any danger. There was no threat. And even if, and I don't actually think he was being threatened with water, but even if he was being threatened with water, appropriate force would have been to tase or pepper spray. It would not have been to shoot her in the head. Now, I don't actually think he was threatening her with water. I think 100%, as somebody who believes in the things we cannot see, the spirit realm, and that it has a real effect on the natural, I think he manifested a demon. I think from other things that I've seen in clips of earlier body cam footage and stuff, like he was off from the moment he walked into her house. He was off. Like she received a phone call, answered the phone. She said, she's like, hello, I really can't talk right now. The cops are here. Like she was trying to get off the phone, immediately rushing her, get off the phone, da da da. Um, from from what I hear, she had wanted to go pick up her Bible at one point. She was not comfortable with the atmosphere that happened when these officers came in her house. And I don't, yeah, I think 100% she said, in the name of Jesus, a demon manifested and it shot her in the head.
Yeah, I 100% think that she said in the name of Jesus for a reason. I feel like
Yeah.
she was rebuking something.
Yeah,
It just seems super
absolutely.
out of place because obviously there are times when there's people who have mental problems. This didn't seem like that to me. It seemed like even if you watch the video, if you're trying to just feel it out in the spirit, it just feels odd. Especially the moment that they walk up. The one cop was just cool and calm and collected, but this other cop, the main one, he was just he was just ready to. He was just not in that same zone, and she was immediately like, it wasn't like she was rebuking at this very moment. She's been like in that same like feel for the entire time,
Yeah.
where she was like praying. She was, you could hear her through the, if you're watching the footage and listening to it, like she was in the moment mode of rebuking. She was trying to, something was up. And
Yeah.
so it just seems like something hit him and triggered him where he went into attack mode for some reason. She just kept rebuking it.
Yeah, I agree. And obviously it was complete overkill. And she was nowhere near the pot. He tells her to go over and to pick it up and move it off the stove. He gives her direct orders. She follows his instructions and then he flips out.
Yeah, and another part of this is I watched a whole body cam video footage. Like their conversation and everything they came there to do should have been done
Oh yeah.
while they were outside. There was a point where they were saying goodbye. And then one, the cop who was not the guy who shot her, he walked away to check a car. And when he came
Hmm.
back, he was in, the guy was inside with her. And so we don't see why he went inside. We don't see any of that because his camera was off the entire time until like the very end. But the body cam footage we saw of the one police officer who had his on the entire time, he walks away, and when they come back,
That
they're
is,
both inside.
first of all, that's illegal.
Yeah,
Secondly, and that is super suspicious.
100%. Because we don't know why he went inside. If you're watching the body cam video, because there's no video of them why he went inside. His partner eventually came in, which also seems like a weird thing to do, where your partner is not around, so you go inside some place that you haven't like checked. And so then you'll see like his partner looking around the house, just make sure everything's safe, doing his job as
Yeah.
you expect, while the other guy's kind of like interacting with the lady the entire time. Like there's so many points where none of this should have happened.
And you can see like at the end of the video when he's like, yeah, I didn't want to get hit with water. And you can tell that his commanding officer is looking at the scene. He sees where the pot of water is, where Massey is. And that he was like, oh, really? Like, he doesn't really believe him. You know, none of his fellow officers are like, hey man, it's okay. It was a good shoot. No one's saying anything like that. Which, officers it's a police officers are a tight knit community. They go through things that nobody else understands. Like I've heard stories from my brother of stuff as a detective, like stuff he's encountered, just crazy stuff. Um, they officers go through a lot, and so they're a very tight knit group of people. They have each other's backs. Everyone's just looking. Nobody's saying anything. And what's the guy's name? The shooter?
His last name
Grayson.
is Grayson. Yeah,
Yeah, you see Grayson, he's talking, he's kind of upbeat. He's, you know, roping off the crime scene. And I'm like, dude, everybody knows this wasn't okay.
yeah.
Everybody knows. Everybody knows this wasn't okay. Nobody's like, oh man, like, it'll be okay. Or, dude, that was tough, tough call. Nope. Everyone's just looking. The enemy comes like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour.
Hmm.
Also, for my research, you'd mentioned you didn't know if she was on anything. They released the autopsy results. I haven't looked at them specifically, but from the news drops, there's no conversation about anything coming up in a talk screen.
Okay, cool.
Also, from the body cam footage and having worked in addiction ministry with former addicts, people coming off of drugs and stuff like that, and my husband being a former addict, I would have to say that she didn't look like she had mental health issues and or it didn't look like she was on anything. She seemed like, just like you and me.
That's what I thought. But obviously, you'll see news stories when they're trying to when the initial ones come out, they're like not sure what the body cam is going to say, blah blah blah. They're going to give out
Yeah.
the this is why she wasn't all there, blah blah blah, all these excuses. But this one seems pretty cut and dry,
Yep.
and
Pretty cut
also
and dry.
the reason this caught my eyes mostly is because of the weird spiritual aspect to it that it seemed to me. It seemed like, okay, this isn't like a normal everyday bad cop. This seems like this was weirdly triggered by some demonic stuff.
Yeah, I agree.